DNA of libertarian. Tom Malloy, everybody. Let's give a hand for Tom Malloy. It's a good audience.
Hi, everybody. Unlike the other people, nice to meet you, choir. I'm your preacher. What Laura is handing out is a news article that I came in contact with only last year. I was unaware of its existence after I had been basically a libertarian constitutionalist since 2008. Real brief history on me. Before 2008, you could find me in the wonderful world of Star Wars Galaxies or some other online game, not paying attention to what was going on in the world because it doesn't affect me. I go to work, I come home, I sit on the couch, I eat my food, and nothing bothers me. Couch! Yes, for couch. However, once I was just sitting around and I was looking for something to do, and I ran across some videos, and I know a lot of people don't like to associate anything having to do with their speeches and libertarianism to InfoWars or Alex Jones in any way. But the one thing the man is good for is he makes you think, and he makes you wake up and realize, oh crap, what have I been doing? No, at my house you won't find us watching hours of mindless TV. You won't find us playing video games. What you'll find us doing is farming and raising animals and teaching our kids, which we have 5 of, and they're a real big pain. Most of the time, they're going to make my wife leave me soon. But, hey, we're working through it. So the article I presented today was the reason why, when I watched the video, it touched me and it caused me to wake up. They like to say that 85% of our DNA is junk DNA. No one knows what it does. I got a theory. My theory is that DNA is the memories and the ingrained experiences of everyone who came before us. We are a human race, and we have been through this time and time again, and here we are again. So what I've presented to you is an article from the Independent Democrat in Petoskey, Michigan. My great-great-great-grandfather was John C. Wilde. Now, the Wilde name may sound familiar to you. I had a great second cousin who's a very well-known Irish poet by the name of Oscar Wilde. So my family, I actually have a really storied history. My great-great-grandfather was awarded the Navy Cross. He died aboard the USS Alabama in the Battle of Glendale Canal, in the Pacific during World War II. He had several destroyers named for him. There's been someone from my family who has fought in every major war since this country's founding. My great-great-grandfather, who this article is about, is no different. He was an abolitionist during the Civil War. He was a founding member of the Greenback Party. And to play off of Austrian economics a little bit, he was a staunch opposition, to the gold standard. Because before the gold standard, we had bimetallism, which basically our currency was gold and silver. Silver was 1/16, so for 16 pieces of silver, you got a piece of gold. So this made a very good basis for trade. So if you wanted to be a person out on your own and a liberty-minded free American, which this country was founded on, you went west, you found your piece of land, you staked a claim on it. If no one came along and said, no, that's my land in such amount of time, it was your land. For thereon, never to be disputed. And slowly it's been whittled away and destroyed. So I'm just going to touch on pieces of this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I implore you to read it because this was written in 1898 when my great-great-great-grandfather was 90 years old. The man ended up living to be 92 years old, or 93, 92. He ended up dying in 1901. My math's probably wrong. Sorry about that. But all of his concerns and all of his worries that he had about his posterity and his children and his great-grandchildren, I'm one of those people, is everything that we're seeing now. A lot of it having to do with the creation of the gold standard and the fact that it was basically going to cause a taxation of labor. And that's what we have. We all pay income tax, and it's stupid. This is dumb. It also caused inflation, and you can read it. I mean, he was against, obviously, the formation of banks he saw during his lifetime. the foundation and destruction of 2 private central banks before the current one we have now. Both of them did exactly what this one has done. They debased, inflated the currency, and caused people to revolt. The problem is back then the people had a lot less to do, so they had more time to pay attention to this kind of stuff. Now, most people don't want to talk politics. Oh, you want to talk politics? No, I'm not speaking to you. And that's what's happened. And what's happened is exactly what he stated. So the simple technology of the time in 1898 was causing people to not pay attention to what their government was doing. He references the fact that he was an enthusiastic Bryan man. It took me a minute to figure out what that was in some research, but I finally figured out that there was a speech given, and it's been ruled by several people as the greatest political speech of all time. So I invite you to go look it up. It's online, including a recorded segment of it by the man who gave it in 1921. The speech was originally given in 1896. He gave that speech for 30 years after he initially gave it because people wanted to hear it. And it explained everything that this man was just trying to explain is in that speech on what going to the gold standard and then the fiat currency that would follow would do to America. And it's exactly what it's done to America. We've all been here before, guys. Every single person out in the world, when you walk out this door, everybody behind that bar and everybody that's in that other room, we've all been through this before. All of our ancestors have been through this before. We just need to get people to pay attention. So what I like to do is when people are like, oh, you're just, there's always some problem, the sky is falling. I get that a lot. I'm called Chicken Little at work. That's okay. If you knew the people I work with, you would understand. But I made it a point in 2008 to point out a bunch of things that, hey, this is about to happen, and watch what's about to happen. And slowly but surely, everybody but a couple people has come around to realize that, oh crap, we're in a bit of a trouble here. Now today, they've gone and authorized a brand new war. Yay! We get to go over there and blow the heck out of a bunch of people that we funded, we created, we trained, we gave guns to. And we're going to give guns to people who gave them to people to chop their heads off. It's great. So what I wanted to touch on, let's see here. I asked about the policy. Okay, sorry about this. All right, in the question of whether he still felt an interest in national affairs, Mr. Wilde replied, yes. I think in one sense of the word, I am more interested than ever. Of course, I have no personal interest now in public affairs. Nothing can affect me one way or the other. Heck, he's 90, I would hope not. However, he said, but the reading and study to which I have given so much of my life, this is on the second page in the top paragraph if you want to follow along, makes me feel this country is rapidly drifting into the gravest dangers. And we, old me, I love the way they talk back now, who retain at least some of the spirit of our founders of the Republic, cannot help feeling the deepest anxiety when we see the very principles of our Republican form of government being undermined. Yes, I hope something may happen to avert the danger, but you know the history of republics that have fallen, and we have followed in their footsteps. We only travel a great deal faster now than in the days of Greece and Rome. We already live under an oligarchy, and I fear the time may come when even the form of government by the people will be swept away. And that's exactly what we have. As everyone else has stated, we have a bunch of corporate-paid politicians that are driven by nothing but their own pocketbooks and to make a paycheck. That's all they care about. They will bend the rules, like having their home in D.C. and saying, oh, but I still live at my parents' address. So this is where I'm going to say I'm a resident just so I can run, but I'm never there. I'm there just enough to make it seem like I'm there. And the people are going to vote me in time and time again because I'm giving them welfare and I'm getting them money. Anyway, if Congress passes the currency bill, which was the banking bill, which was the Federal Reserve, as framed by the bankers and recommended by Secretary Gage, the people will absolutely be at the mercy of the men of money, and that is what we are. So all I can do is encourage people that I meet that when it feels wrong, it's because it's in your DNA. You were born to resist tyranny. Every single person is. You were born to be free. I don't care if it's a dog, a cat, a bird, or a person. They all want to be free. And given the opportunity to get through a hole in the fence, I don't know a dog that won't. Never met one. You feed them enough and they'll hang around, but if you stop feeding them, guess what? They manage to leave, and most of them will make it on their own, as long as they don't get hit by a car. So like I said, I encourage you to read the article. It's really great to see that you have a man who was born, and I think I had slides for this. Yeah, here we go. So during his life, now this is how long this man was alive. At the time of his birth, there were 16 states, Louisiana not being one of them. This man saw the creation of 26 of our states. There were only 5 left to be created whenever he passed away. Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, Alaska, and Hawaii. That was it. That was it. The man saw all of this. During his life, he observed the dismantling of both private central banks. Now, the first one occurred when he was only, 9 to 12, so he was, 3? The second one he was there for. He was a member of the House of Representatives from the state of Michigan. He helped found Petoskey, Michigan. Okay? And he served with Andrew Jackson at the time that Andrew Jackson ran. They attempted to kill him 4 times before he took office to stop him from dismantling the private central bank. He survived all 4 attempts on his life, all of which were poisoning, by the way, to take down the private central bank. So anybody can do it. The problem is it going to be painful? Yes, it will be painful. We're all going to suffer. But it needs to be done. It's a necessary evil to destroy it, I should say. During his life, he saw the country go from bimetallism, which is the gold and silver standard, to the gold standard. He wasn't around to see the fiat currency because I'm sure that would have absolutely turned his skin. He was born only 30 years after our country was founded, after we signed the treaty with Britain. So he was there for the founders. This is somebody who can carry us from when the country was founded to now with a simple news article that was written just to talk about the guy who used to walk down the street, shake everyone's hand, and say, this is why we're free. He saw and was worried for us. Okay? And it's funny how everything is repeating itself, but ultimately, the foundation of who you are and what makes you question the status quo is in your DNA. It's in your heart. It's in your mind. Learn to listen to yourself, because when they say, oh, we're going to do this law, like Marcel said, if there's no victim, sure, you can think about it logically, but ultimately it's going to feel wrong and it's going to feel bad. And once you figure that out, it's real easy to check everything that happens on a daily basis. All right, I know we have a lot of questions and answers, so I'm going to cut it short from what I intended on, but I just encourage you to read the article and understand something. We've done this before. This is your one chance in this forum to stand up and do something about it. And I don't care if people don't like what I have to say. I don't care if they call me an idiot or an aluminum foil hat wearer, tinfoil hat wearer, some crazy idiot person. Oh, don't get him started. But I'm started. There's no stopping me at this point. My life revolves around my family and my children, and I worry for them. And it's pretty bad when I have to sit down on the living room floor and start teaching my kids at a young age how to field strip a gun, because I know they're going to need it at some point because of the way things are going. We have got to try to stop this and head it off before it turns to violence. And if we don't get people like Brandon McMorris voted into office, we don't stand a chance. So thank you. Y'all have been a great audience.